हैं उदूस बच्चासों के ब्रांड पे रेटिका है बुकिस कामुज इस ससनु की तहु पे खर किया है तो इस टीठे लगली के रेजन उतारी है.
The rain-slicked streets of Manhattan gleamed under the relentless October downpour. But Alexander Hale barely noticed as a chauffeured Bentley idled at the red light on Fifth Avenue. His empire, Hale Tech, the tech behemoth that had redefined urban living, had just closed a billion-dollar merger. Yet the victory tasted like ash in his mouth, a hollow echo in the vast silence of his penthouse life. Then, through the tinted window, he saw him, Jordan Ellis, the man he'd shattered a decade ago, walking hand in hand with a boy whose face was a ghost from Alex's own mirror, hazel eyes. That stubborn curl of dark hair falling over the forehead, a smile that could disarm the world. Alex's heart slammed against his ribs like a trapped animal, the kind of jolt that made the world tilt and colors bleed into one another. 10 years. A lifetime of boardrooms and betrayals, of climbing ladders slick with ambition until he stood alone at the top, wind-whipped and freezing. He'd convinced himself Jordan was a chapter closed, a youthful mistake traded for the glittering promise of success, the private jets, the Forbes covers, the lovers who came and went like seasonal storms, none of them touching the core he'd buried deep. But there he was, Jordan, unchanged in essence, the soft line of his jaw, the way his coat collar turned up against the rain, protecting that boy who couldn't be more than 9, clutching a soggy sketchbook under one arm like it held the secrets of the universe. The light turned green, but Alex's driver hesitated, glancing back. "Sir," Alex waved him off, fumbling for the door handle as if his polished loafers weren't made for puddles. He stepped out into the deluge, the cold shock of water seeping through his wool trousers, irrelevant against the fire igniting in his chest. Jordan hadn't seen him yet. He was laughing at something the boy said, a low, warm sound that cut through the traffic's roar like a lifeline thrown into the abyss. Alex's voice cracked before he could steady it. "Jordan." The laughter died. Jordan's head snapped up, his green eyes widening in a flicker of recognition that twisted into something raw, shock, hurt, a guarded wall slamming down as swiftly as it rose. The boy tugged at his hand, oblivious, pointing at a street vendor's steaming pretzels. "Papa, can we?" But Jordan shushed him gently, his free hand instinctively pulling the child closer, a shield of flesh and bone against the ghost from his past. "Alex," Jordan said, the name flat as pavement, laced with the weight of all they'd lost. Rain traced rivulets down his face, or maybe those were tears in the gray blur. Alex couldn't tell. I didn't know," Alex stammered, the words tumbling out unbidden, his usual command fracturing like glass underfoot. He was Alexander Hale, the man who negotiated empires over single malt, who stared down senators without flinching, reduced now to a drenched fool on a sidewalk, coat flapping like a defeated flag. The boy peered up at him, tilting his head with that unnerving familiarity, his small face a mosaic of Jordan's gentle features and, God, Alex's own. The merger, the accolades, they dissolved in that moment, leaving only the ache of what-ifs clawing at his throat. Is he? Jordan's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking like a countdown to detonation. Not here. Alex. Not like this. He turned, guiding the boy away, but the child resisted, staring back with wide-eyed curiosity. Who's that man? Papa? He looks like the guy in your old pictures. The words hung there. A grenade with the pin pulled. And Jordan's shoulders slumped. The fight draining out as the rain hammered on. Alex followed at a distance. Desperate. The city an indifferent witness to his unraveling. They ducked into a corner cafe on East 57th. The kind of place with mismatched chairs and the scent of fresh espresso cutting through the damp. Jordan ordered hot chocolate for the boy, Eli. He learned in that stilted exchange. Short for Elijah and black coffee for himself. Waving off Alex's offer to pay with a sharp look that said volumes. Eli settled at a window table, crayons scratching across his sketchbook, drawing what looked like a family of superheroes battling storm clouds. Jordan sat across from Alex, elbows on the scarred wood, his coat dripping onto the floor like unspoken accusations. "You look good," Alex ventured, hating how inadequate it sounded, how it skimmed the surface of the chasm between them. Jordan's hair was longer now, threaded with a few silver strands that only made him more striking. More the artist he'd always been, freelance illustrator for children's books. The kind that captured dreams in watercolor strokes. Alex remembered nights tangled in cheap Brooklyn sheets. Jordan's fingers tracing stories on his skin. Promises whispered in the dark. "The success suits you, I guess." Penthouse views and all, the bitterness was a blade. Slicing clean. Alex winced, running a hand through his sodden hair. "Jordan, please. Just tell me about him." About Eli. The boy's name felt foreign on his tongue. Yet it fit like a key turning in a lock he'd long forgotten. Jordan glanced at Eli, who was now humming a tune Alex vaguely recognized from some animated movie, oblivious to the tension coiling around them like smoke. "He's 9. Loves drawing. Hates math. Asks too many questions." A ghost of a smile touched Jordan's lips, then faded. "And yes, Alex, he's yours. Ours. The one-night stand you don't remember because you were too busy packing for Silicon Valley. Chasing that golden ticket." The words landed like a sucker punch, stealing Alex's breath. He hadn't known, couldn't have. Not when he'd left that frantic voicemail. The one begging Jordan to understand. To wait while Alex made something of himself. The call had gone unanswered, the texts fading into silence. And Alex had buried the guilt under layers of achievement, telling himself it was for the best. But this Eli, with his hazel eyes mirroring Alex's own, the dimple in his left cheek from Jordan's side of the family tree, this was the consequence. Alive and breathing, stirring hot chocolate with a bendy straw. "I didn't. God, Jordan, I never imagined." Alex's voice broke, raw edges scraping against the cafe's murmur. He reached across the table, but Jordan pulled back, his eyes stormy seas of old wounds. "You left. Alex. You chose the boardroom over us, over me. I found out 2 months later, alone in that shoebox apartment, staring at a positive test strip. I called, left messages you ignored because Hail Tech was calling louder." Jordan's voice trembled, not with weakness, but with the ferocity of survival. "I raised him alone. Every fever, every first step, every school play where the other kids had 2 names on the emergency form. And now you waltz back in. Billionaire Rain Man. Expecting what? Absolution." Eli looked up then, sensing the shift, his crayon pausing mid-loop. "Papa sad?" The question was so simple, so piercing, that Alex felt tears burn behind his eyes, tears he hadn't shed since burying his father young, since learning early that vulnerability was a luxury for the weak. Jordan softened, ruffling Eli's hair. "No, buddy. Just talking to an old friend." He shot Alex a look that said not yet, and stood, gathering their things. "We have to go. Our class waits for no one." But as they moved toward the door, Eli slipped his small hand into Alex's. A tentative bridge. "Bye, mystery man. Draw with me sometime." Alex nodded, throat too tight for words, watching them vanish into the rain-swept street. The boy's backpack bobbing like a beacon he was terrified to chase. That night, in the sterile expanse of his Tribeca loft, Alex poured scotch after scotch, the amber liquid doing nothing to dull the reel playing in his mind, Jordan's laugh echoing in memory, Eli's eyes holding futures Alex had forfeited. He pulled up old photos on his phone, grainy shots from their college days at NYU, arms slung around each other at pride parades, Jordan's head on his shoulder during late-night study sessions. Then, impulsively, he searched Jordan Ellis online. Freelance gigs? A modest portfolio site showcasing whimsical illustrations of queer families navigating magical worlds. No mention of a partner. No trace of the life Alex had upended. Just Eli's school photos, blurred for privacy. That damning resemblance staring back. By dawn, resolve hardened in Alex's chest like frost on glass. He couldn't undo the years, but he could fight for the now, for the boy who'd claimed his hand without knowing the war it waged. He called his assistant, canceling meetings, then drove to the address he'd unearthed from public records, a brownstone in Brooklyn, the borough they'd once dreamed of calling home. The door opened to Jordan, sleeves rolled up, flour dusting his apron, pancakes for breakfast. The domestic rhythm Alex had traded away. "Alex, what the hell?" Jordan's voice was a whip, but exhaustion laced it, the kind born of single parenting in a city that chewed up dreams. "I need to know him. Us. Please." Alex held up a sketch pad he'd bought on impulse. Empty pages begging for stories. Jordan hesitated, the silence stretching taut as a high-wire act. Finally, he stepped aside. 1 hour. "And if you hurt him, I won't," Alex vowed, stepping into the warmth of a life he'd ghosted. Eli bounded from the kitchen, syrup-smeared grin wide. "Mystery man, you came." The hours stretched into mornings, then weekends. Alex learned Eli's favorite color was midnight blue, like Papa's eyes at night, that he feared thunderstorms but loved rooftop stargazing. Jordan watched from afar, arms crossed, thawing inch by inch as Alex showed up, not with checks or gadgets, but with time, park picnics where he'd push the swing higher, bedtime stories improvised from Jordan's illustrations. The tension simmered, electric undercurrents in stolen glances, Jordan's hand brushing Alex's during a museum visit, the accidental press of thighs on a crowded subway. But cracks formed. Eli's questions grew sharper. "Why don't you live with us? Alex, are you Papa's friend or something more?" Jordan's walls rebuilt overnight after that, accusing Alex of buying affection with his presence. "You're playing house, Alex." But when the novelty fades, when Hail Tech dings your phone at midnight, what then? You left once. Don't make me teach him to brace for twice. The fight erupted in the brownstone's cramped living room. Eli asleep upstairs after a feverish night. I was 23. Jordan, scared shitless of failing, of being the queer kid from Ohio who amounted to nothing. My dad died penniless. I swore I'd never be him. Alex paced, voice rising like a storm. I thought success would fill the hole, make me worthy of you. But it didn't. Nothing did until I saw you too. Eli, he's the proof we were real, that we could be more. Jordan's eyes blazed, tears carving paths down his cheeks. Worthy? You were always worthy. You idiot. It was the leaving that broke us. I loved you enough to let you go, but it carved me hollow. And now, Eli adores you, and I'm the fool falling again. Terrified you'll vanish when it gets hard. Alex closed the distance, cupping Jordan's face, thumbs tracing the familiar curve of cheekbones. I'm not leaving. Not this time. I've built an empire, but it's dust without you. Marry me, Jordan. Not for show, not for Eli, for us. Let me earn back what I stole. The kiss that followed was a detonation, fierce, forgiving, tasting of salt and second chances. Jordan melted into it, hands fisting Alex's shirt, pulling him closer as if to fuse their fractures. Upstairs, Eli stirred in dreams of families unbroken. Months blurred into a rhythm Alex never knew he craved. Mornings of burnt toast and Eli's laughter. Evenings where Jordan sketched while Alex reviewed contract from the couch, their legs entwined. The wedding was quiet, a rooftop ceremony in Brooklyn under string lights. Eli as ring bearer in a tiny tux that made him beam like a star. Vows exchanged with the skyline as witness. Promises not of perfection, but persistence, of choosing love over ladders every dawn. Yet drama shadowed their idol. Hailtech's board caught wind, whispers of scandal. The CEO's personal entanglements threatening stock prices. A tabloid leak splashed their story across headlines. Tech Titan's secret gay family, from abandonment to altar. Reporters swarmed the brownstone, flashbulbs piercing the curtains like accusations. Eli cried that first night, burrowing between them. Are they mad at us for being happy? Jordan's resolve cracked under the onslaught. Old insecurities roaring back. This is what success buys. Alex spotlights that burn. He packed a bag, not to leave, but to breathe, retreating to his sister's upstate for a week. Alex faced the wolves alone. A press conference where he stood unyielding. My family is my greatest achievement. Judge that, not my shares. In the quiet aftermath. With Eli at school, Alex found Jordan's sketchbook open to a half-finished page. 3 figures under a rainbow arch. Labeled ours. He drove north that afternoon, arriving at the cabin as snow dusted the pines. Jordan waited on the porch, bundled in a scarf Alex had knitted, crooked stitches from YouTube tutorials, a symbol of his fumbling redemption. I'm done running, Jordan said, pulling him inside. But promise me we fight the world together, not in shadows. Together, Alex echoed, sealing it with a kiss that warmed the frost-kissed air. Back in the city, they built shields, therapy sessions where Alex unpacked his abandonment fears, Jordan his resentments, a foundation launched in Eli's name, supporting queer families fractured by ambition or fear. Eli thrived, his drawings evolving into stories of heroes who mended broken worlds. And Alex? He stepped back from the C-suite, delegating the empire to trusted hands, reclaiming hours for bedtime rituals and park benches. One crisp autumn evening, 10 years to the day since that rainy reunion, they stood on Fifth Avenue, full circle, the Bentley long traded for a family sedan. Eli, now a lanky teen with Alex's height and Jordan's artistic fire, sketch passers-by on his tablet. You guys met here, right? Like a movie. Jordan slipped an arm around Alex's waist, their rings glinting in the fading light. Better than a movie. Kiddo. Real as us. Alex pulled them close. The three of them a constellation against the neon sprawl. Success wasn't the summit he'd chased. It was this, love reclaimed. A boy who bridged the years. A partner whose forgiveness was the true fortune. In the heartbeat of the city that never sleeps. They walked on. Whole.